Okay, let's look at torque at the lumbar spine. So torque kind of lets us analyze the loads on the spine. And again, any sort of torque at the lumbar spine can create a compressive load or a shear load or force. So torque, remember that torque is force times the moment arm. And remember that the moment arm is the perpendicular distance between the center of rotation, at this point it's L5S1, and the line of action of force. So on the right, we have all these forces acting down. What we're lifting, our head, our arms, our trunk are all anterior to the center of rotation. And the moment arm is the perpendicular distance from the center of rotation to all these lines of force, and all of these forces are creating a flexor torque at the L5S1. And so to counter that flexor torque, we have to create an extensor torque. And the muscles that create the extensor torque are the erector spinae, the global muscles that we reviewed. And note, here they are back posterior to L5S1. And they have a much smaller moment arm relative to, say, the box we're lifting. So they have to generate much more force to lift things. So just remember, our muscles are typically at a mechanical disadvantage due to that smaller moment arm compared to what we're lifting. So there's a lot of lifting techniques, correct? I'm not a fan of the word correct. A leg lift, a back lift, right? So this could be the stoop, semi-squat, and then a squat. A lot of times people do not do this type of lifting technique, lifting with quote unquote your knees, because there's a huge metabolic cost. But this also tries to pull the moment arm of what you're lifting closer to L5S1, which would decrease the torque production. A lot of times people stoop lift who do the same thing, bring that moment arm closer. And we can see this in another image where the load is the same, 200 newtons that this woman is trying to lift. Here's the center of rotation. You can see the moment arm, so the length between the center and the line of action of force. And remember, when we're lifting something even small, we're also lifting our whole body, which is about 50% of our body weight. So the moment or the torque, remember, moment or moment of force is a synonym to torque. So the moment can go from 192 newton meters to 151 to 212. And it's all based on how far away the load is from the center of rotation or the external moment arm. So sometimes a stoop lift will decrease your moment arm, which can decrease the torque, as opposed to doing a knee lift, quote unquote, which may mean that you need to move the box further away from your center of rotation, which would increase the torque. So there's kind of a trade-off. And again, as with everything, it's situational and there's not necessarily a good or bad way to do things. In general, a squat lift brings the load closer to the body, decreasing that external moment arm. Sometimes, especially if you do a squat lift similar to a sumo squat lift in lifting, you're really decreasing that external moment arm, which would decrease the external torque, right? Because remember, torque is the product of force times moment arm. So if you decrease that moment arm, you will decrease the torque.